Hi guys, there's this trending video from Arise TV. Listen to what Senator Magnus Abe said.
Dr. Abati, good morning, and thank you for having me on the show. First of all, as a Rivers man, I want to say clearly that this is not the situation that we would have wanted or would have envisaged in our state. But the average person in Rivers State is just a citizen who is looking for an atmosphere to make progress with their families, to pursue their daily bread, and be able to go about their livelihood. And I think that most of the people in Rivers State this morning are relieved to see that there is an opportunity for the state to come back together and be able to once more do what every other Nigerian is expected to do at this time, which is to look for a way to get their children to go to school, treat themselves if they're ill, look for their daily bread, and go about their daily lives. On this whole issue, Dr. Bati, let me say that I have been a member of the Nigerian Senate, and closed-door sessions are how the Senate deals with sensitive issues. Because what happens during the closed-door session is that information that may not be public, because you're dealing with a security situation, information that may not be made public at that point can be divulged and shared with the senators in confidence. People must also remember that the senators are elected officials of the government. The Senate, the legislature is not a separate government. The legislature are elected members of the same government. And so they have the same responsibility, the same obligation as the president to ensure the stability, progress, and security of the nation. Issues come up, they will be given information that may not be given to the entire public. So a closed-door session is one of the means by which senators can share such information without the cameras being present to make what information should be private, public. Secondly, the appointment of a sole administrator at this time, I believe, is timely because clearly anybody who had eyes and ears and understands the dynamics of Nigerian politics could have seen clearly that the situation in Rivers State was clearly intractable, and this kind of action that the president has taken is timely, and I believe that it serves the interest of all the parties to this conflict because it gives them an opportunity to reset. I think that warmongering, rabble-rousing, and all this kind of talk that led us into this kind of situation in the first place needs to be stepped down, and wise counsel should prevail at this time. That's what I believe. What I want to say is that there are different natures and kind of emergencies that may arise in a sovereign state like the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And in the case of Rivers State, you had a situation where governance in the state had come effectively to a deadlock. The law of this country and the law of all democracies across the world is that appropriation is the function of the elected representatives of the people. And where there is no appropriation, there can be no disbursement. Even in the United States of America, we see a situation where sometimes the Democrats and the Republicans cannot agree with the president and all that, and they come to a deadlock and the government effectively shuts down. And the kind of situation that we had in Rivers State was a situation where clearly there had been a total deadlock, and it would have been impossible for the government to function. In fact, in the words of the Supreme Court, they said there was no government in Rivers State as presently constituted. And I want to say, with every respect, that the navigation of the political terrain of leadership is as important as the ability to be able to build physical roads and bridges. If you're the leader of a state and you do not show the capacity to be able to navigate the political terrain in such a manner that the state can continue to run effectively, and it is beginning to affect the security of major industrial and economic lifelines of the nation, the president has not just an obligation, but a duty to step in and ensure that this situation is able to be managed effectively in the interest of the citizens. And I think that in the case of Rivers State, that is a situation that the president saw. Because if you had left us where we were, the members were set on a course of impeachment. These are members that for over 16 months were denied any kind of role in the government and were totally locked out, and all their statutory and constitutional responsibilities were denied them. And this was a governor that was set on a path with 2-3 members, which we all know was a constitutional impossibility and had been so declared by the Supreme Court.
All right.
So in that kind of logjam and the whole issue was spilling out, the president had an obligation to act, and he acted timeously.
All right.
And I think what the president has done throws a lifeline both to the governor and to the legislature for them to be able to rethink and renavigate the situation at hand. So to continue to inflame passions and make insinuations that are not realistic in the circumstances is not in the interest of the people of Rivers State. That is the truth.
Now listen to what Rufai is asking Senator Magnus Abe to provide something he did not say. What kind of journalism is Rufai of Arise TV practicing?
Senator Magnus Abe, the question I have for you is this. Please, can you show us with evidential proof the insecurity that is happening in Rivers State? Hope you know that the transnational pipeline that was blown up has started working again a day after. And hope you know the 2 other incidents of bombings around that area. NMPC has discarded some of them that say it was just a flare. So please, can you plot us the state of insecurity, the fighting and the killings that were happening on the road in Rivers, in Port Harcourt?
Rufai, just calm down. I don't have to prove anything to you. Your position on this matter is known. And what I want to say to you people is that it is important. Yes, it's true. It's true. I don't have to prove anything to you.
Answer the question now.
Listen, I don't have to prove anything to you. The position you people have taken is known to the entire country. But all I want to say to you is that for the sake of the people of Rivers State, is it important that we have a balance? There are 2 sides to every coin. And it is important that both sides are represented in issues. You come here, we have an elected president. The president has information that you and I do not have. And he has told you the reasons why the state of emergency was declared is clearly set out in the speech of the president to the entire nation on that issue. You have a different opinion, but you don't have that power to overturn what the president has said. The president has presented what led him to that decision to the national... I'm coming, sir. Just allow me to talk.
Yes.
The president has presented what led him to that decision to the National Assembly, which is the body that our constitution, elected by the Nigerian people, has set up to review what the president has done. And they were unanimous in their decision to stand by what the president did. You have a right not to agree with it, but it is not proper for us to come here and begin to present a scenario, make speculations, and say things that obviously have no foundation whatsoever in reality. For the sake of the people of Rivers State, I want to appeal to all of us as Nigerians. Let us give peace a chance. And it is important that we remember that there are 2 sides to every coin. You don't take everything. I'm sorry, sir, just a minute. I don't want to argue. Let me just say my own bit, please. You remember that there are 2 sides to every issue. Opposition members, those who are opposed to the president, have gathered to sell a narrative because they think that they can profit politically from the crisis in Rivers State. Let me sit here and say clearly that they cannot. What is important to Rivers people at this time is that we should allow common sense and wise counsel to prevail. I have been looking at what is happening in the state. We saw the conduct of the governor that led up to this crisis. The governor is the chief executive. He is the head of the government of the state. And it was his responsibility to manage both the political, economic, social, and whatever challenges he faces in the course of his governance. He chose the path that he chose because he was listening to people that he should not have listened to. Some of the people he listened to, let me take the case of a fellow governor who is one of his strongest supporters. He had the same issue in his state. In his state, when he had the issue, did he come out openly to confront his predecessor who had helped him into power? He did not. While the predecessor was fighting him, he gave him his ticket back to the Senate, but blocked his boys who were all in the SDP. They didn't have a total showdown the way he now was supporting in Rivers State. And at the end of the day, when the price comes, it is the man who is sitting in the seat that will stand alone. We saw it in the House of Reps. All those people that were shouting for Fubara to continue to do this, and coming on a rise, they were in the House of Reps. They had the chance. Okay, you say it was a voice vote. At least you could have opened your mouth to say nay. Did they do it? So let us be practical. This is a political situation that was going to result in a total breakdown of law and order. And the president, as the president of this country, acted in the interest of the Nigerian state. Nobody should sit down and begin to accuse the president in this kind of matter. He has acted in a partisan manner. But what the president said, was it different from what the Supreme Court said? So let us be practical and be balanced. If I have the opportunity to visit the sole administrator, I will visit him. But what I want to say is that every emergency is not the same. So what steps may be necessary in one emergency may be different from the kind of steps that are required in another kind of emergency.
Please,
so there's no law
liberals
that
have the
says
right
that
of
if
reversal.
Jonathan took this kind of decision in one kind of emergency, every president must follow what one president did. Every emergency is different. The important thing is that the steps that the president takes will restore normalcy and bring order back to that part of the federation. And that is what the president is trying to do. And it should be supported by all Nigerians so that that emergency is resolved in the national interest. That's what I would say. That's all I will appeal to you to do.
I understand your passion. I mean, you are a major stakeholder in Rivers.
No, it's not a passion. I'm just worried because this affects my state and it affects my people.
Okay, you are a major
So we
stakeholder.
should be balanced.
You are a major stakeholder.
Yes.
We know
we need
that
peace.
there was clear
We
and
need
present
peace, and
danger.
we need wise counsel. That's what we need.
We know there was clear and present danger in Rivers State.
The president gave his reasons. He's the chief security officer of this country.
But
And he knows what is happening in Rivers State
No, I
more
understand.
than the anchors in Arise.
I
He does.
understand
Yes.
all of that.
So give him that credit.
I understand.
You don't sit down and accuse
Look,
the president he's being partisan. He's doing all right.
Senator.
Senator Abe,
No, just hold on.
He's the
Just hold
leader
on.
of the country.
Just hold on. Just hold on.